This is another case of don't believe everything you read or hear or see. Well, in this case, you can believe what you see right here, but we're going to go through some facts and myths about why silver is a better investment than gold. Let's talk about it as we explore. And I use the word investment on purpose because many people feel that silver is undervalued, so they can leverage that high gold to silver ratio to their benefit. And we'll discuss more about what that means as the way to possibly make money on silver. Is it possible? Yes, but that's one of those things that can definitely be sort of very much in a fluid situation. By the way, I'm going to be referencing a piece here from financebuzz.com, and there's a check mark next to the article that says it has been, quote, fact-checked. But there are some non-facts in this piece. There's no question about that. Nonetheless, the key is to do your own research and due diligence, no matter who says what about anything. My friends at Summit Metals, well, they are also posting content on YouTube, giving you a lot of facts and information on precious metals. They also sell gold and silver and platinum now. Yes, indeed. So check them out. Great customer service and fast shipping as well. So this is a very interesting piece here from Finance Buzz that talks about what they refer to as 14 reasons silver might be a smarter investment than gold. And I'm going to give you a bonus. I'm going to give you 15 reasons. But let's get into what this is about. Number one, silver is more affordable than gold. Well, yes, that is quite obvious. Indeed, that is right. As silver is significantly more affordable than gold at $37 per troy ounce compared to over $3,330 per troy ounce, making it appealing to investors looking to enter the precious metals market at a lower price point. And when you think about that, yes, that's true. And we're going to get into another reason why you got to be careful when taking that into account later in the video. You still will get some benefits of gold if you're buying a hard asset that you can hold, but you won't pay thousands of dollars for a tiny physical amount the way you would with gold. So yes, indeed, that's right. And number two, silver can be easier to sell. The key word here being can. I guess technically, if you take it to a local coin shop or someplace and they're running low on cash, it's going to be much easier to sell an ounce of silver than it would be to sell an ounce of gold. But nonetheless, due to its lower cost, silver can be easier to offload quickly in small sums, which is a plus for those needing to free up liquid assets quickly, particularly for everyday spending. And that includes all the way down to 10th ounce size gold, which runs, like I said, a couple $100 for that small 10th ounce of gold. And typically anything much smaller than that, it's so tiny and small that you're not going to get back much from your premiums. And that is another thing to think about with silver too. Given its low price, you may not sell silver for a down payment on a house, but it could be helpful to sell for day-to-day purchases or to sell for in case of an emergency for expenses. In fact, a member of this community had to sell off a good portion of their constitutional silver stack. That's kind of what it was there for. Yes, indeed. And small fractional silver, likely they got at a low price so they could liquidate it fairly easily there. Number three, silver makes a wonderful gift. Well, so does gold. I don't know that that's going to necessarily be one thing to think about as a gift more than gold. I guess in some ways, yes, it's a much cheaper gift, but that kind of falls in line with number one. They say here, if you want to start a tradition of gifting an investment to a younger relative, silver is a great place to begin since it's more affordable and you can easily be given an amount that you can hold in your hand. Look at coins or bullion for physical investments that can be gifted. Well, that's true. However, the first lesson I would teach them when you hand them that piece of silver, no matter what type it is that it's not an investment. That's right. Although some of the leveraging here about what this article was about is about how you can invest in it. And we're going to get to that in a moment. But yes, you can gift them. In fact, I would even make the suggestion that you leave a silver mercury dime. In fact, I would actually put it in the hand of the server along with your tip and say, here's something else. and they're going to be very intrigued by that to receive a silver mercury dime. And just make sure they know that it is something unique and not just a piece of change, to look at it as you give it to them. So yes, I think it is definitely a good way that it can be used as a gift, and easier to use as a gift. So that is for sure. Number 4, you have options to invest in silver, like you don't with gold. Anyways, they say here, while coins, jewelry, or bullion might be the first items that come to mind when you think of silver, there are several options for investing in silver. There are futures, ETFs that own silver or silver miners, and silver mining stocks. Each of these comes with risk beyond silver's volatility, so do thorough research on the securities you're considering. That's true, but all of that also is the same for gold. Gold has all of those options as well. So number 4, we can strike. That is a myth. It is not true, because you have the same options with gold as you do with silver. Number 5, silver has a strong industrial demand. Well, I think what they meant to say is silver has strong industrial demand, and that is true. Throughout the day, you probably use multiple items made with silver and don't even realize it. Yes, indeed. And we don't just mean for jewelry. Silver is known for its industrial demand, from batteries and solar panels to auto parts. In fact, 56% of silver's total supply goes to industrial uses, which means during booming economic times, when industrial demand and manufacturing are high, silver prices may get a boost. And they are 100% correct on that point. In fact, I'll take it a step further. There's about 12,000 uses out there for silver. And that gives you the notion that silver is indeed very versatile, even among industrial uses, making it the most versatile metal, the most versatile metal on the periodic table. That is pretty impressive. And a lot of that has to do with the physical properties that are unique with silver than any other metal on the periodic table. Now, number 6 has me scratching my head. I'm going to actually do that. I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm actually scratching my head. Lower premiums on silver. Number 6 is, let's see what they got to say about this. When buying silver bullion, you won't pay a raw price or what dealers call a spot price. Instead, you'll pay a premium, which is the price you pay over the spot price. However, on silver, these premiums tend to be lower than gold, creating a lower entry barrier. Bam! 100% false. And they said this article was fact-checked. There's a big check mark next to it that says this has been fact-checked. Boom! False. Incorrect. By any stretch, by any measure. There's very rare instances where silver has lower premiums than gold. And one of those is constitutional silver right now. There is some constitutional silver you can get even below spot price right now, but it's very rare that you see that. But there are spot deals out there to look around, but you have those for gold as well. Even some smaller size gold pieces, you can get them for spot price and maybe even a little bit under. Although under is very, very difficult to obtain unless you go to a local coin shop and you develop a relationship there. And there are other exceptions. There's nuance to everything, but nonetheless, number 6 is generally false. Yes, indeed. And by the way, just so you know, as I mentioned, you can get the same deals for gold as you can for silver. And generally, you're going to pay a lower premium as a percentage for gold than silver, hands down. Pretty much every angle, except for maybe 10th ounce, and even now, that's debatable. Number 7, silver has a smaller market share than gold. That is true. While the total amount of new silver each year is close to 1 billion ounces compared to gold, which is a mere 120 million ounces, the value is so much less than its market share dwarfed by gold. Gold's overall market value is 12 times bigger than silver. The smaller value helps lead to its volatility since market swings are felt more significantly, which means, and this is 100% true, which means that you could potentially profit in big upswings in silver's price if you play your cards right, if you even have a deck of cards. But nonetheless, that is a possibility. However, I advise against it, but nonetheless, that is certainly something that is working in silver's favor, given that and the high gold to silver ratio. Number 8, The use of silver at home is rebounding. Now, this is interesting, and I don't know if this is really true or not. It sounds like it could be. Demand for silver you use at your table is rebounding after it took a dip throughout the pandemic. Silver bowls, silverware, vases, and more are being used again for entertaining, which could help drive silver prices up. That is true. That is a possibility. I don't know that for sure, but it does make sense, although I would say it would make much more sense during the pandemic considering silver's antimicrobial properties. You are literally benefiting your health if you use silverware. Number 9, silver doesn't follow the stock market. Partially true, mostly true, I'll say that, but there are exceptions, a lot of exceptions. Silver is often seen as a hedge against inflation in the stock market because it tends to follow its own rhythm and has historically performed well over the long periods. It can be a smart way to diversify a portfolio because it may be up when stocks are down and can be more liquid than other options. The key word here being may, because we've seen when there's a massive market downturn, we've seen that during the pandemic, silver crashed to below $12 an ounce. It was $11 and like 70 some odd cents. And even more recently, on April the 2nd, after the Liberation Day tariff announcements, we saw silver prices crash. Well, they didn't crash, but they fell substantially. So yes, indeed, there are exceptions. And at the time when you want silver to work for you, it tends to work against you in those situations more often than not because of the complex nature and the duplicity of the metal. Number 10, you can buy junk coins to invest. I don't like that term junk silver, but a coin collector will probably turn down the chance to buy dimes, quarters, and half dollars issued before 1965. They have no collectible value in the coin market. However, they do contain valuable amounts of silver. Next time you get change, you might want to look for the dates in your coins. It's very, 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 and that I mentioned, very rare that you will get a pre-65 coin and change. I posted a short video where I got one and change at the dollar store, but it's very rare that you do that. But nonetheless, you can get most of these constitutional coins at your local coin shop for near spot price or at spot price, maybe even a little bit low. So they are right about that. And you can get them, but you ought to get them not to invest, but to hedge against economic instability. That is not for investing. Number 11, silver investment should be kept to no more than 5%. I disagree with that. That's a matter of disagreement. I think it should be more than that. While silver can diversify a portfolio because it differs from stocks and other investments, it should be used to heavily weigh your portfolio towards precious metals. It shouldn't be used. In other words, it should be used as a hedge against economic instability, not as an investment. It's a volatile choice, and silver doesn't make up more than 5% of your portfolio if you're seeking a diversified portfolio, where you should be. But I think it's okay to do up to 10, maybe even more. I'm much more heavily weighted than that. I think most of us are, but that's a matter of opinion. Number 12, silver takes up room. That doesn't sound like a good thing compared to gold. Because silver's value is low compared to gold, you'll need significant storage space to accommodate all the silver needed to amass tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in value. Safe deposit box will hold $2,300 worth of silver currently, depending on the size. That doesn't sound like an argument to buy silver over gold to me. That sounds like a strike against silver. So that's a strike out there. Number 13, silver's outlook is shiny. I do agree with them on this. Silver's outlook is shiny for 2025, particularly when you look at the gold to silver ratio. That's determined by how much silver you need to purchase 1 ounce of gold. When the gold to silver ratio exceeds 90, it means that silver is historically undervalued and could rise. And right now we're seeing it hovering right around 90. And so I agree with them on that. And that means a potential investment possibility if that's your desire. Number 14, silver stockpiles are small. Silver prices could skyrocket if there's a run on silver thanks to industrial demand or supply chain issues. This is partly because the government no longer stockpiles silver now that it's not used in coins. And that's true to a degree. There's a lot of silver bullion out there. There's plenty of it. So we're still not reaching a shortage of that, especially with constitutional silver, hence why the prices are so low. Because of silver's prices rising so much, there's a lot of people selling now. That's also contributed to lower premiums. But it's a good time. When people are selling, we should be buying, even when the prices are rising right now. Now, here's number 15. This is the bonus one, folks. This is important. Silver is undervalued compared to gold, but it will never get onto 1-to-1 with gold. There's that rumor is going around once again by any measure, by any stretch. And the reason why that rumor is going around is because people think that silver is consumed, never to be seen again. But make no mistake, there is more ways that you can recycle it now than ever before, and they are doing just that. And as price goes up, they'll recycle more. And so therefore, you will never see it go to 1-to-1, not anywhere close. In fact, I would make the argument that it will probably never even go to the mining ratio, 7-to-1, the most conservative mining ratio. So, and I know there's some that disagree with me on this. In fact, one particular person who was very kind, who posts in there, in fact, his whole channel, his whole account name is derived on that notion. We have a friendly disagreement about that, but nonetheless, that's something I'm willing to be willing to bet money on. Gold is much more rare by any stretch, by any measure than silver. That does not take away from silver's properties and its beauty and its the fact that it's undervalued and the fact that silver is great and unique in so many ways. So there you have it, folks. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. I hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. I would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.